though Anna was this gorgeous comedic actress, she's always felt really insecure in Hollywood.
I was invited to a Hollywood party, and it's all these celebrities, and it felt like everybody was beautiful and glamorous. I just felt so small. So I hid in the bathroom. I cried the whole way home. And Chris was like, honey, why are you crying? And I'm like, I don't know. I think there's always this lingering idea of not belonging in this town.
And I feel like, or maybe I'm guessing, that really, that clip plus her history from her childhood where she felt really insecure could have been really part of the reasons why their marriage fell apart. So even though Anna was defending Chris up to this point through the whole Jennifer Lawrence scandal, an unthinkable happened.
Chris Pratt has filed for divorce from his wife, actress Anna Faris, citing irreconcilable differences.
So Chris files for divorce?
Yeah.
But if he didn't cheat, why did he?
Anna Faris went through absolute torment in her relationship with Chris Pratt. They were married for 8 years, but every single moment was filled with self-doubt for Anna. One major reason? The relentless rumors that Chris was cheating on her. And if that wasn't enough, their son's health became a fragile point in their marriage. While Anna faced it head-on, Chris reportedly acted like their child didn't even exist. Their marriage wasn't just rocky. It was one of Hollywood's messiest breakups. So, let's dive deep into the chaos. Now, I've always been a fan of Anna Faris. She's funny, talented, and genuinely one of the most likable people in Hollywood. But here's the thing, she doesn't seem to see her own worth. Between her tough upbringing, the cutthroat entertainment industry, and her roller coaster marriage with Chris Pratt, it's clear she's been through a lot. And let's be real, those 8 years with Chris, they weren't exactly a fairy tale. Between non-stop cheating speculation and the infamous Jennifer Lawrence love triangle, things got out of control. So let's rewind to the beginning. Anna and Chris first crossed paths in 2007 while filming Take Me Home Tonight. But here's the plot twist. Anna was still married to her first husband, Ben Indra. That didn't last long, though. Just 1 month after filming started, she and Ben called it quits. By the end of that same year, she had moved on with Chris. And by February 2008, her divorce from Ben was officially finalized. Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. When actors get sent off to film a movie for months, pretending to be in love with another ridiculously attractive celebrity, their real-life relationships rarely survive. And Anna and Chris? They were no exception. How many times have we seen this exact Hollywood script play out? One partner goes off to film a movie, falls for someone else, and their real-life relationship crumbles. That's exactly what happened with Anna Faris and her first husband, Ben Indra.
Is that passenger's money ring?
Oh.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think so.
I can't believe it. It was a surprise a few days ago, and I'm just like, I look at it, I'm like, I don't belong with this.
What?
I mean,
It's taking some getting used to for me too. I'm like, whoa.
But Anna, she didn't waste any time dwelling on the past. She moved on fast. In 2008, just months after finalizing her divorce, she got engaged to Chris Pratt. Then, in a completely spontaneous move, while visiting friends in Bali in 2009, the couple decided to tie the knot right then and there. No elaborate Hollywood wedding, just a quick decision that would lead to one of the most talked about marriages in the industry. At first, Chris couldn't stop gushing about his new wife. In a 2015 Reddit Ask Me Anything, he praised Anna, calling her a great wife, very patient and understanding, very supportive, so kind and genuine. But as we all know, words are one thing, actions are another. In May 2012, Anna and Chris announced that they were expecting their first child. Then, in August, she gave birth to their son, Jack. But the joy of parenthood was quickly overshadowed by serious health complications. Jack was born prematurely, weighing only 3 pounds. Chris later told GQ that doctors warned them to prepare for raising a special needs child, a moment he described as absolutely devastating. By 2013, though, Chris was fully consumed by his skyrocketing career. Between Jurassic World and Guardians of the Galaxy, he was everywhere, except at home. Here's a throwback to them on the red carpet, smiling for the cameras, while behind the scenes, things were already starting to crack. Chris later opened up about Jack's fragile condition in 2014, recalling how his newborn had jaundice and had to be placed under a special light with a tiny blindfold covering his eyes. It was a tough start for their baby boy, and the challenges didn't stop there. Jack's start in life was nothing short of a battle. He had a PICC line, a type of IV that ran from his tiny arm straight into his heart, a feeding tube, wires tangled around his fragile body, his first crib, an incubator. In her 2017 memoir, Unqualified, Anna Faris opened up about just how terrifying those early days were. She didn't sugarcoat anything. She's brutally honest and incredibly self-deprecating in her writing. One heartbreaking moment? She recalled the devastating conversation with a pediatric neurosurgeon who sat her and Chris down and delivered gut-wrenching news. Their newborn son, Jack, had suffered severe brain bleeding. The doctors warned them that he might face developmental disabilities for the rest of his life. For 18 long months, Anna and Chris lived in uncertainty, waiting for answers. But when the time finally came, they received a mix of relief and heartbreak. Jack had escaped major permanent damage, but he wasn't completely in the clear. He had muscle issues in his legs and minor vision problems. It wasn't the worst-case scenario, but it was still a tough reality to accept. By 2015, on the surface, things between Anna and Chris seemed okay. Chris was still speaking highly of their relationship. In an interview with Women's Health, he gushed about how compatible they were, saying, "If you're like Anna and myself, we're very similar. We married ourselves because we have comparable egos and abnormally high self-esteem." Which, okay, sounds nice. But let's be real. Does that really match up with what we've seen from Anna? She's constantly doubting herself, and she's been open about her struggles with self-worth. So was Chris just saying what people wanted to hear? Or was he not seeing the cracks forming right in front of him? In 2016, while accepting the MTV Movie Award for Best Actor for Jurassic World, Chris Pratt took a moment to thank Anna, saying, "Our son was destined to be tough, but thanks to you, he'll be smart too." It was a sweet public declaration of love, but behind the scenes, the cracks in their marriage were starting to show. Shortly after this moment, the rumors exploded. Whispers of Chris Pratt being unfaithful spread like wildfire, and it wasn't long before Anna herself began speaking out about the toll it took on their relationship. The speculation wasn't just coming from tabloids. Fans and insiders alike were convinced something was going on. And Anna? She felt the weight of it all. For years, she had been dealing with insecurities, but now she was watching her marriage be dissected by the entire world. The rumors weren't just rumors anymore. They were everywhere, and people couldn't stop talking about what was really happening behind closed doors. And this was only the beginning.
In the movie, you have to play with Chris, and you're like, "Oh, could be with somebody else," and you're like, "Yes."
You nailed it.
He gets naked. Is this true?
I was never there for any of the nudity. I have seen the movie.
Oh.
And it's nice.
Was it good?
It was good.
Oh, all right.
Very good.
Very good. Okay.
Chris, do you want anything to try and ease that anxiety?
He was the reason why I felt so into it.
During our sex scene, I felt your dick rubbing into me.
Whenever I had to kiss Josh and Liam for the Hunger Games, who cares? With
Pratt, I ate mints.
It was just she and I primarily for the whole movie, 16, 17 hours a day, hanging out, and man, we got along.
And this is where Jennifer Lawrence enters the picture. Hollywood is a wild place. Actors travel for months, film intense romantic scenes with their co-stars, and sometimes, whether true or not, they get caught up in cheating scandals. That's exactly what happened in 2016 when rumors exploded about Chris Pratt and his Passengers co-star Jennifer Lawrence. At the time, Anna Faris and Chris were still married, but their relationship was already struggling. When whispers of an alleged affair started making headlines, Anna tried to brush it off. But as much as she wanted to ignore the gossip, it was everywhere, and it was eating away at her confidence. In her memoir, Unqualified, Anna opened up about just how deeply those rumors cut her. She recalled confronting Chris, telling him how hurt she felt, even though, deep down, she knew there was no real evidence of an affair. At first, Chris didn't get it. He dismissed her feelings. But eventually, he came around and realized how painful it must have been for her to see their marriage dragged through the mud in the public eye. Now, here's the twist. Anna never blamed Jennifer Lawrence. She made it clear that she didn't see her as the other woman or a villain in this situation. In fact, she had nothing but kind words for J-Law, saying, "Jennifer and I are really friendly." She was apologetic, even though she didn't need to be because she had done nothing. She's awesome. But let's be real. Just because the rumors weren't true doesn't mean they didn't do damage. When the whole world is speculating about your marriage, the doubt, the humiliation, and the insecurity, that's enough to break anyone. And we all know how Hollywood works. When movie studios launch big press tours, they push whatever narrative sells, even if that means fueling rumors that can wreck relationships. And in the case of Passengers, the media couldn't get enough of Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence's chemistry. The two spent hours upon hours together, traveling, laughing, and doing interviews where their playful banter was on full display. And let's be honest, if you were in Anna's position, wouldn't you feel a little insecure too? Now, here's where it gets even messier. Jennifer actually apologized to Anna over all the rumors, which begs the question, was she being a little too flirty during those promos? Comment below, do you think J-Law might have crossed a line? Anna later revealed that her own publicist had warned her before the rumors even started. She recalled being pulled aside and told, "Anna, listen, the paparazzi are going to be all over them. There will be photos of them laughing together, walking to set. There will be stories. You need to brace yourself." And despite trying to put on a strong front, Anna wasn't ready for the storm that followed. In 2016, she admitted, "We grapple with a lot of the ideas of being a public couple. I just remember feeling so hurt in a way that bothered me because I didn't want to think of myself as somebody who could be affected by the tabloids."
Anna was this gorgeous comedic actress. She's always felt really insecure in Hollywood.
I was invited to a Hollywood party, and it's all these celebrities, and it felt like everybody was beautiful and glamorous. I just felt so small. So I hid in the bathroom. I cried the whole way home. And Chris was like, "Honey, why are you crying?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I think there's always this lingering idea of not belonging in this town.
And I feel like, or maybe I'm guessing, that really, that clip plus her history from her childhood where she felt really insecure could have been really part of the reasons why their marriage fell apart. So even though Anna was defending Chris up to this point through the whole Jennifer Lawrence scandal, an unthinkable happened.
Actor Chris Pratt has filed for divorce from his wife, actress Anna Faris, citing irreconcilable differences.
So Chris files for divorce?
Yeah.
But if he didn't cheat, why did they?
But let's be real. It wasn't just the tabloids that made things worse. A huge part of why Anna struggled so much during this time? Chris Pratt himself. Instead of reassuring her, he gave her nothing. His reaction, or lack of one, made it seem like maybe, just maybe, there was something to hide. And speaking of Chris, I came across a TikTok breakdown that lays out exactly how he may have been the one to destroy his own marriage. And trust me, you're gonna want to see this. One thing that really got people talking? The fact that Anna Faris was there for Chris Pratt when he was struggling, only for him to level up in Hollywood and trade in his old life for a new one. New wife, new kids, new everything. One viral comment put it bluntly. She was with him at his lowest. As soon as he got Jurassic World and the MCU, he left and started a whole new life. Another person added, she deserved better. And this one? She was far more famous than him before all of this. It's just sad. Then, in 2017, after 8 years of marriage, Chris and Anna announced their separation. And here's the kicker. Chris was the one who filed for divorce. The former couple put out a carefully worded, publicist-approved joint statement saying, "Anna and I are sad to announce that we are legally separating. We tried hard for a long time, and we're really disappointed. Our son has two parents who love him very much, and for his sake, we want to keep this situation as private as possible moving forward. We still have love for each other. We will always cherish our time together and continue to have the deepest respect for one another. Sounds sweet, right? But behind the scenes, people weren't buying it. For a while, fans held on to hope that Chris and Anna might reconcile, especially after they were spotted on a casual walk together a year after their split. But then, just 3 months after their divorce was finalized, Chris suddenly started dating Katherine Schwarzenegger, the daughter of the Arnold Schwarzenegger. And let's be real, as much as they tried to sell the whole "we still have love and respect" thing, the truth started slipping out in the months that followed. Now, speaking of the Schwarzenegger family, comment below if you guys are watching White Lotus with that Schwarzenegger guy in it. Chris Pratt and Katherine Schwarzenegger didn't waste any time. They got engaged in early 2019 and were married by the end of the year. And let's just say, people had a lot to say about how quickly things moved. The suspiciously fast transition from divorce to a brand new relationship had fans raising eyebrows. Some felt Chris barely gave his breakup with Anna Faris a second thought before diving headfirst into his next chapter. Others speculated that his romance with Katherine might have actually started before his marriage even ended, though, of course, neither Chris nor Anna ever confirmed that. Regardless, the backlash was loud. Many felt that Chris moving on this fast was not only insensitive, but also a pattern, one that Hollywood men seem to follow all too often. In 2018, Chris finally addressed the divorce, saying, "Divorce sucks. But at the end of the day, we've got a great kid who's got two parents that love him very much." Which, of course, he was going to say that. But actions speak louder than words, and his actions, they told a completely different story. Not long after, Chris and Katherine welcomed two daughters, one in 2020 and another in 2022. Meanwhile, Anna quietly moved on as well, marrying cinematographer Michael Barrett in 2021. And let's be real, who else had to Google him? Because I had no idea who he was. Actually, I don't even really know who Katherine Schwarzenegger is either, aside from the last name, of course. Anna did open up about Chris's engagement on her podcast, sharing that Chris actually texted her the morning after he proposed. "Chris texted me this morning and he was like, 'I proposed to Katherine last night.' And I was like, that's amazing." She even joked that she reminded him she was an ordained minister, throwing in a lighthearted offer to officiate. But here's the thing, just 6 months later, Chris and Katherine were married. And let's be honest, that's fast. Maybe too fast. By 2020, Anna Faris had officially moved on. She confirmed her engagement to cinematographer Michael Barrett during an episode of The Late Late Show with James Corden. But instead of a high-profile Hollywood wedding, she and Michael secretly eloped, a detail she casually dropped on her podcast in July 2021. Meanwhile, Chris Pratt was out here making headlines for all the wrong reasons. In 2021, he posted a tribute to his wife, Katherine Schwarzenegger, thanking her for giving him a healthy daughter. And that one word, healthy, set the internet on fire. Fans immediately interpreted it as a subtle dig at Anna Faris, whose son Jack was born prematurely and faced health complications. And honestly, if I were Chris, I would have thought twice before posting that too. The wording was way too personal, way too specific. Almost like he was implying that his new wife could do something his last one couldn't. The backlash was swift. People called him out, saying it was insensitive and tone-deaf, whether intentional or not. But that wasn't the only time Chris had fans side-eyeing him. Anna's supporters also noticed something missing from his annual Mother's Day posts. He shared a carousel of sweet tributes featuring his mom, Kathy Pratt, his wife, Katherine, and even a few random people. But you know who was missing? Anna Faris, the mother of his firstborn son. And here's where it gets worse. This wasn't just a one-time thing. It turns out Chris had excluded Anna for the second year in a row. Was this an intentional snub, or was Anna herself requesting privacy? Some fans tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but for many, the optics were not great. One person even commented, "What about your ex? She's not included?" And whether Chris meant to or not, he just kept adding fuel to the fire. Chris Pratt and Katherine Schwarzenegger didn't waste a single second. They got engaged in early 2019 and were married by the end of the year. And trust me, people had a lot to say about how fast things moved. The suspiciously quick transition from divorce to a brand new, picture-perfect romance had fans raising eyebrows. Some felt like Chris barely took a moment to process the end of his 8-year marriage before jumping into something serious. And then there were the whispers. Had his romance with Katherine actually started before he and Anna split? Neither Chris nor Anna ever confirmed that. But the timing? Let's just say, it left a lot of room for speculation. And the backlash? It was loud. Many people felt that Chris moving on so fast wasn't just insensitive, but part of a bigger pattern. One that Hollywood men seem to follow way too often. By 2018, Chris finally spoke out about the divorce, saying, "Divorce sucks. But at the end of the day, we've got a great kid who's got 2 parents that love him very much." Which, of course, he was going to say that. But actions? They always speak louder than words. And his actions? They told a completely different story. Soon after, Chris and Katherine expanded their family, welcoming 2 daughters, one in 2020 and another in 2022. Meanwhile, Anna quietly moved on as well, marrying cinematographer Michael Barrett in 2021, and let's be honest, who else had to Google him? Because, same. And Katherine Schwarzenegger? I mean, we all recognize the last name, but beyond that, who is she really? Anna did open up about Chris's engagement on her podcast, sharing that Chris actually texted her the morning after he popped the question. "Chris texted me this morning and he was like, 'I proposed to Katherine last night.' And I was like, 'Ah, that's amazing.'" She even joked that she reminded him she was an ordained minister, playfully offering to officiate the wedding herself. But here's the thing. Just 6 months later, Chris and Katherine were already married. And let's be real, that's fast. Maybe a little too fast. The internet isn't holding back. One comment summed it up perfectly. "How sad. I lost respect for you a long time ago." That post alone racked up 600 likes. Another person asked, "Wait a minute, where's Anna Faris?" And someone else pointed out the obvious. Leaving her out deliberately each time is sort of a weird move. And honestly, they have a point. Because when you take a step back, it almost seems like Chris Pratt is doing everything he can to ignore the fact that he even has a son. A Reddit post recently went viral questioning why Chris rarely, if ever, acknowledges his son Jack from his first marriage. One person wrote, "It's almost like he pretends Jack doesn't exist." And honestly, that's a hard take to ignore. This isn't the first time people have noticed something off. When Chris publicly praised his second wife, Katherine Schwarzenegger, for giving him a healthy baby, people immediately saw it as a direct comparison to Jack, who was born prematurely and has ongoing health challenges. Some brushed it off as poor wording, but others weren't buying it. And here's where things get even messier. Chris claims he wants to keep Jack out of the public eye for privacy reasons. But if that's true, then why does he constantly post about his daughters? It's a clear double standard and people aren't letting it slide. One particular post struck a nerve. Chris was seen proudly wearing a girl dad shirt. Katherine even shared it, highlighting the phrase as if he didn't also have a son. The internet wasn't amused. And while Anna Faris has been open about her experiences on her podcast, she hasn't directly called out Chris by name. But from the things she's hinted at, it's not hard to figure out who she's talking about. Anna Faris has been dropping hints for years, and while she's never called out anyone by name, the pieces are starting to come together. In a conversation with Kat Von D, Anna recalled being in a relationship where she was cheated on, though she never specified who. She admitted, "I'm pretty oblivious sometimes, especially in relationships. Of course, I don't want to believe that anything is wrong, but there was that gut feeling that was starting to grow more and more." And here's the thing, she was right. She later found out her ex had been cheating all along, and she was frustrated with herself for ignoring the warning signs. She even reflected on how women are often taught to suppress their suspicions out of fear of being labeled as crazy or paranoid. Sound familiar? Because this is exactly what people suspected was happening during the whole Jennifer Lawrence situation. And that wasn't the only time Anna hinted at deeper issues in her relationships. In another podcast episode, she had Gwyneth Paltrow on as a guest, where they discussed their past marriages. Gwyneth admitted that in her previous relationships with actors, there was always an undercurrent of competition, something she struggled to manage. She explained, "Being a proud person, not wanting to reveal vulnerability, a hint of competitiveness and comparison, I didn't handle that very well." And honestly, that sounds a lot like what may have been happening between Anna and Chris. Their marriage seemed to lack open communication. And on top of that, Anna has always been incredibly self-deprecating, to the point where it clearly impacted how she navigated relationships. She even admitted that during her marriage to Chris, she never talked about her issues with anyone, not even her closest friends. In a May 2021 podcast episode, she revealed, "I think it stunted me in a lot of ways, one of them being that I never talked about any issues. So to the people, even the ones I was closest to, I'm sure things were more transparent with my relationship with Ben." So, was this just Anna's personality? Or was Chris Pratt making her feel like she couldn't speak up? Because that's the real question. When it came to her marriage with Chris Pratt, Anna Faris admitted that they both worked hard to protect the illusion of being the perfect couple, even within their own inner circle. But in reality, that picture-perfect relationship wasn't as flawless as it seemed. She reflected, "For me, I think after every breakup, at some point, I realized there were a lot of things I ignored that I shouldn't have. And honestly, that's so relatable." Looking back, she admitted that her hand felt forced, like breaking up wasn't really her choice, but rather something that just had to happen. And when it comes to love and marriage, Anna now has a hard-earned perspective. She even shared some brutally honest advice for her son, Jack. "I don't know if it's too grumpy and cruel to say this, but if I could tell my 8-year-old son one thing that maybe he would stick to, I would really encourage him not to get married in his 20s. Which, can you blame her? She knows firsthand how young marriages can fall apart. Meanwhile, Chris and Catherine were busy expanding their family. In June 2022, they welcomed their second daughter, solidifying their new life together. And that same month, Anna made an appearance on Chelsea Handler's Dear Chelsea podcast, where she referred to herself as a divorce veteran. And she wasn't kidding. She's been through it all. She explained that with each breakup, there was a huge shift that hit hard, especially after her first divorce. "It hit hard the first time. I turned into somebody that I didn't recognize. But after the heartbreak, she actually found a sense of freedom. I was always the kind of person that had their fridge filled. I hosted a lot of dinners. But after her divorces, that part of her changed. And honestly, she's still figuring out who she is outside of all these relationships. Back then, Anna had a full life, hosting dinners, filling her fridge with food, surrounded by friends. But after her divorce, everything changed. She admitted, "That was back when I had friends. Then I found myself in this apartment with just beer and mustard in the fridge. I was going out all the time. I had no one to text or call and say, 'Hey, can I do this?' Essentially, I wanted to be desired, desperately." It was a slow and painful journey, but Anna eventually found herself in a healthier place. Her relationship with Michael Barrett felt different, better. "This time, it's been easier for me to accept a lot of love. And honestly, that's what really matters." Both Anna and Chris moved on, found new partners, and built separate lives. But let's not ignore the fact that Chris did Anna dirty, and the subtle hints she's dropped in her books and podcasts over the years say a lot about the kind of man he really is. If there's one thing that doesn't sit right, it's the way Chris seemingly pushes Jack to the side. The whole girl dad persona, the lack of public acknowledgement of his son, the difference in how his daughters are treated. Jack is old enough to notice. And imagine how he must feel walking into that world and seeing how vastly different it is from his own. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you think Chris Pratt handled this situation fairly? Or do you think Anna deserved better? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives like this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.